do? So just a quick catch up. I've been continuing what I did last year for Ohatsu, which is tell the stories of the ancestors' enlightenment. Um, so last year we started with the Buddha, number one, and went through number five, and then this year I picked up at number six, and now we're on number eight, I think. And yeah, I kind of like this tradition. And, these are our ancestors, the bloodline that has carried the Buddha's teachings to us. And so it's nice to know a little bit about each of these ancestors. So yesterday we talked about Buddha Nandi, yeah, the seventh ancestor, or the eighth, yeah. So I guess today we are on the ninth ancestor, who is Buddha Mitra. So I'll start with the history or the context of the actual case koan before going into it. It's kind of similar to one we looked at earlier this week, but Buddha Nandi, the eighth ancestor, is kind of roaming around India, teaching and practicing, and they get to the town of, or the kingdom of Daigya. And once again, he sees a white, brilliant light over a house. And he says, that's where my disciple will be. Because a lot of these early stories have some magic elements to them. And he says, in that house, there is someone who has never spoken and has never taken a step. And I was told, or I saw in a dream or something, that that will be my heir, my successor. There must be a holy man in that house. Yeah. So he goes to the house, and these two older folks open the door, and here comes Buddha Nandi with his followers, and he's like, I'm looking for my attendant or my next successor. And the couple is like, well, we only have one son here, and he's already 50, and he has never taken a step, and he's never spoken a word. And Buddha Nandi says, perfect, that's my guy. Or gal, we don't know. These early folks, we don't know. They've probably been patriarchalized into men, but yeah, we don't know. But we do know that Buddha Mitra had not spoken and had not taken a step. But he hears Buddha Nandi come in, and all of a sudden they rise to their feet, which they've never done before. And so he meets Buddha Mitra, or Buddha Nandi, the eighth ancestor, and upon seeing him, this is where the koan begins. Buddha Nandi says, your speech is one with your intrinsic mind, and not even your mother and father can compare in closeness. Sorry, just before I go on, I told myself just to say that there is language about mother and father and parental stuff in this koan. And so, I don't know, I'm just feeling sesshin can be really deep and bring up a lot, so just kind of a trigger warning if there's parent stuff coming up. This doesn't go into the psychology of parent stuff, but I just wanted to be sensitive to that. So if you feel like not ready to hear about parental anything, totally okay to take a moment and walk in the garden or something. So Buddha Nandi says, your speech is one with your intrinsic mind, and not even your mother and father can compare in closeness. Your actions are one with the way, and this is what the mind of Buddha is. If you search externally for a Buddha with form, he will not resemble you. If you want to know your intrinsic mind, you are neither one with it nor separate. And upon hearing this, Buddha Mitra was greatly awakened. So, for further context, before we kind of dig into the koan, um, Buddha Nandi, the teacher here, he kind of throws out in the story, um, he has never spoken or walked because he was thinking of the difficulty of turning his back on the love of father and mother. This is such a crucial element to me of this koan. I'm surprised it's not like in the actual case. Um, so I think here is where it becomes clear that father and mother is kind of just, a symbol in this case for the things that we hold most dear, the things that make us safe, the things that have been ingrained into us. Um, and of course, we know that sometimes the things that make us feel safe might not actually be the best things for us. For me, it's self-loathing. But just these things that we hold on to and are so afraid to turn our back on. Kind of reminds me of, I want to quote The Sopranos, the HBO show, in my Dharma talk today. um, he's in therapy, and Tony Soprano, the main character, and he just went on a peyote trip before, a couple days before the session, and he said, I had a huge insight. And he said, I saw the truth of everything. Our mother is a school bus, and she drops us off, and we spend our entire life just trying to get back on. Just looking for that safety, that oneness of womb, connection, total care. Everything we do is just to get back to that, including develop things like self-loathing, self-doubt, hatred of others, whatever we're somehow taught that will keep us safe. And so, what a beautiful thing. He never spoke. He never shared his truth. He never connected with others. He never explored his own voice. And he never walked. He never took action. He never tried stuff out. He never explored the world, thinking of the difficulty of turning his back on these things that we hold most dear. Sason just sent me, actually no, she sent me a link that then led to another rabbit hole video where this guy, I forget his name, but he was giving a lecture, and his whole lecture was about don't live your life without making your music, which is just kind of a nice phrase. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's coming out of you, don't listen to all the doubt. And, it's so easy to say that in like an inspiring way. It's much harder to develop the strength and openness to actually do that for all of us, I think, at least for me. But what a beautiful thing to see. He's never done these things because he's so afraid of losing that safety. And another thing that comes out for me is Buddha Nandi, the teacher here. He sees this, ostensibly quote unquote broken person who can't speak and can't walk, and says, this has to be my person. The most broken of us is it. Awakening, discovering, being intimate with our true self has nothing to do with how well off we are, or how healthy we are, or how smart we are. It's the craziest and most broken of us, too. Um, and of course, that's not to say that it's not essential to, find our groundedness. Um, that's kind of where it gets tricky because this koan is all about letting go of safety. Um, your speech is one with your intrinsic mind, and not even your mother and father, not even the place you feel the most safe and accepted, can even compare to your own voice. The intimacy you can have with your own experience, being completely free of external things keeping us safe. And so that's, really deep practice in letting go. And, I just want to make clear that I think we are becoming more clear in modern Buddhism that, this practice of ungroundedness, non safety, letting go of everything really should come in tandem with our practices of feeling safe, feeling grounded, having good self esteem, making good boundaries. Some of our ancient people don't really, they just didn't really know about it. But I think we've seen that we get in a lot of trouble when we emphasize the groundedlessness, the selflessness, without also encouraging ourselves to develop a strong sense of self. So it gets really tricky. It's kind of like, can you stand firm on no ground? Can you find safety in the open wilderness of the universe where there's nowhere to land? It doesn't make any sense. I know. I'm doing my best. um, but yeah, what he says to him, your speech is one with your intrinsic mind. So yeah, everything you say, everything you think. Everyone comes into Daison and they're like, "Oh man, I spent the whole Zazen period, you know, having negative thoughts about myself and others." Well, that too is your intrinsic Buddha nature. We don't have to like stop doing that so we can get this, or leave this behind so we can get that. If it's clear and beautiful, that is Buddha. If it's muddy and chaotic, that is Buddha. Just be what is. And when you can really develop that intimacy with your own experience and embrace it and love it, no matter how quote unquote broken you think it may be, there is safety and love in that your mother and father can't even compare to. Similarly, your actions are one with the way, everything we do. If you search externally for a Buddha with form, he will not resemble you. So that's Buddha, that's an answer, that's a teaching, that's a teacher, that's a Ferrari, that's a lover, whatever external thing, um, even a feeling. We're looking for a feeling. Once I really capture that samadhi, stillness, meditation feeling, if I cultivate that enough, then I'll be able to, really be Buddha. No, not at all. Samadhi just helps us see that we're already Buddha as it is. Um, I want your awakening to resemble you exactly as you are. If you want to know your intrinsic mind, that's a good question. Does anyone like care about their intrinsic mind? It's just we usually hear things like enlightenment and freedom, liberation. But here, he's using this as a synonymous phrase to know your intrinsic mind, who you really are. We're just walking around, eating and falling in love and fighting, and then we die, and then the earth gets swallowed up by the sun, and the universe expands, and all of life is gone. So, like, what are we really? Is that it? If you want to know your intrinsic self, you are neither one with it nor separate from it. So important. Not one, not two. Um, I don't really have much to say about that other than to just invite everybody to invite that into their life. I am not my intrinsic self, and I am not separate from my intrinsic self. Everything I do in the world creates separation, and everything I do is the manifestation of oneness. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But we're not here to make sense. We don't do sesshin to make sense of things. We do sesshin to get intimate with safety and non-safety, love and hate, oneness and dualism, and how all of it is manifesting as Buddha in every moment. Uh, Good luck.